course,
Yeah.
hiring someone to take your photos is a beautiful experience, but sometimes
Totally.
people just aren't quite there in their business.
Yeah.
If someone's taking their own photos at home on a budget, let's say,
Yeah.
do you have any like hot tips for just creating something that's a little bit more engaging, a little bit nicer than just kind of on the kitchen table?
Yeah, for sure.
No hate against the kitchen table, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a few tips. So my first one would be to make sure that you allocate a good chunk of time to do it. I feel like this is a big pain point for people is, you know, the lighting is nice in their house. They get inspired. They're like, okay, I'm going to take some photos, but I only have, 10, 15 minutes in between calls or whatever. So then they go to take photos and then they don't give themselves enough time to really set things up or get into it. And then it just feels frustrating because there's not that big amount of time. So give yourself more time than you need. I find it always, even for myself, it always takes more time than I think that it's going to. I think, oh, I can just snap a few photos, but give yourself a good amount of time. And then also try to make a plan before you start. So I know that sometimes, creativity just flows, but I do find that when it comes to brand photos, having a good plan in place, even if you're just taking the photos yourself, is really important. So one way that I like to encourage people to do this is to um, go through the content that they already have existing and look for any areas where they feel like they could, you know, use some more content. So maybe if you're a product-based business, maybe there's a couple products that you just notice that you've been neglecting, that you don't have a lot of photos for, you need some more photos of. So your focus is going to be to get those photos of that product. Um, Maybe if you are a service provider, you just need some pretty photos for when you're sharing on Instagram, from when you're sharing on Instagram stories, just maybe some aesthetic backgrounds or behind the scenes or just nice photos of your coffee styled with, your notebook or things like that you could just use that are, your own photos. So that could be a really good way of just, looking through your content, seeing what gaps are there. And then also looking at Pinterest and making a little gallery for yourself of photos that you want to try to recreate. That can be always fun to try to do. Yeah, so those would be kind of the two things in terms of, giving yourself enough time, making sure that you plan out what you want to capture. And then also just really, I always tell people to try to utilize natural light as much as they possibly can. So getting nice and close to a window. If you don't have like a surface that's nice that you feel like, you want to shoot at, maybe your kitchen table is too dark for the aesthetic that you want, just go and buy yourself a piece of foam core from the dollar store. A piece of white foam core usually costs like $1, $2. And that can just be a nice neutral backdrop. They come in different colors. Or if you want to go even more bougie, you can go to Home Depot and get yourself a piece of tile if you want a marble backdrop. Anyways, but just having that and putting that in front of the window can just be so helpful in terms of just making sure that you have nice lighting, because nice lighting is really going to help you be inspired and actually want to take those photos. So those would be kind of my little tips for doing your own photos at home.
Yeah, I think those are great. Having enough time,
Yeah.
and just getting content that you can use kind of just casually too on social